أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير اللهم فقهنا في الدين ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما Ameen summa Ameen. Inshallah, today's lesson we are going to continue Surah Yusuf, and last time we finished up to ayah number 20. So today's lesson will be 21 to 35. So inshallah we will do 21 to 35 ayah. So we will start with the ayah number 21. I want everybody to get your musaf out and follow along because I don't want you to get lost. You have to follow, then you will know exactly what's happening. So first we will do the translation. Wa and Qala said, Allazi, the one who ishtarahu bought him, min of Misra, Egypt, limra'atihi, to his wife, akrimi, make comfortable, maswahu, his stay, asa, perhaps, an, that, yanfa'ana, he will benefit us, or nattakhizahu, we will take him, walada, as a son. وَكَذَلِكَ, and thus, مَكَّنَّا, we establish, لِيُوسُفَ, Yusuf, fi, in, al-ardi, the land, wa, and, لِنُؤَلِّمَهُ, we might teach him, min, of, ta'wil, interpretation, al-ahadith, the event, wallahu, and Allah, ghalibun, predominant, ala, over, amrihi, his affairs, walakinna, but, aksara, most, annasi, the people, la, no, ya'lamun, no, like la, not, ya'lamun, do not know. No mean knowing something. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us here, yalamun mean to know, but when we have la before it, so we say now not know. People do not know. Walamma, and when, balagha, he reached, ashuddahu, his maturity or puberty, ataynahu, we gave him, hukman, wisdom, wa ilman, and knowledge. Pakadhalika, and thus, najzi, we reward, al muhsinin, the good doers. Warawadatu, and, because there is a wa in the beginning, so we say and, sought to seduce him, sought to seduce him. Allati, she who, huwa, he, fi, in, baytiha. Bayti mean house, ha is for feminine. So we say her house, an, from, nafsihi, his self, wa ghallaqati, and she closed, al-abwaba, the doors, waqalat, and she said, Hayta, come on, laka, you. Qala, he said, Ma'az Allahi, I seek refuge in Allah. So Ma'az mean, I seek refuge, Allahi, in Allah. Innahu, indeed, he, Rabbi, my Lord. Ahsana, who made good, maswaya is my stay, innahu, indeed, la, not, yuflihu, will succeed, al-zalimun, the wrongdoers, walaqad, and certainly, hammat, she did desire, bihi, him, wahum, and he would have desired, it's not wahum, wahamma, and he would have desired, biha, her, lawla, if not, and that, Ra'a, he saw. Burhana, the proof. Rabbihi, of his Lord. Kazalika, thus. Linasrifa, that we might avert. Anhu, from him. Asua, the evil. Wal-fahsha'a, and the immorality. Innahu, indeed he, min, was or of, ibadina, our slaves, al-mukhlasin, the sincere. Wastabaqa, and they both raised, al-baba, to the door. Waqaddat, and she tore, qamithahu, his shirt, min, from, duburin, the back. Wa, and alfaya. Alfaya mean they both found. Sayyidaha, her husband. Lada, at. Al-babi, the door. Qalat, she said. Ma, what? Jaza'u, the punishment. Man, of the one who. Arada, intended. Bi ahlika, for your wife. Sawa'an, evil. Illa, except. An, that. Yusjana, he be imprisoned. O, or. Azabun, punishment. Alim, painful. Qala, he said. Hiya, she. Rawadatani, sought to seduce me. An, about. Nafsi, myself. Was shahida, and testified. Shahidun, a witness. Min, of. Ahliha, her family. In, if. Kana, is. Qamisuhu, his shirt. Qudda, torn. Min, from. Qubulin, the front. Fasadaqat, then she has spoken the truth. Wa, and. Huwa, he. Min, of. Al-Kazibin, the liars. Wa in, but if. Kana, is. Qamisuhu, his shirt. Qudda, torn. Min, from. Duburin, the back. Fakadhabat, fakadhabat is from kazaba. Kazaba means to lie. So if we have fa in the beginning, then it means then. Kazabat, she has lied. Wa, and. Huwa, he. Men, of. As-sadiqeen, the truthful. Falamma, so when. Ra'a, he saw. Qamisahu, his shirt. Qudda, torn. Min, from. Duburin, the back. Qala, he said. Innahu, indeed it. Min, of. Qaidi, Qaidi kunna, your plot. Qaidi means the plot, and kunna is you. When it is noon and there is a tashdid on it, then it is for the female. So Qaidi kunna is your plot. It means you, woman. In the parentheses, you can say the woman plot. Inna, indeed, Qaida kunna, your plot, azim, is great. Yusufu, Yusuf, a'rid, turn away, an, from, haza, this, wastaghfiri, and and ask forgiveness, lizambiki, for your sin, innaki, indeed you, kunti, are, min, of, al-khati'in, the sinful. Waqala, and said, Niswatun, woman, fi, in, al-Madinati, the city. Imratu, the wife of Al-Aziz. Aziz is the name. Turavidu, seeking to seduce. Fataha, her slave boy. An, about. Nafsihi, himself. قد, indeed, شغفها, he has impassioned her, hubban, with love. Inna, indeed we, lanaraha, we surely see her, fi, in dalalin, an error, mubin, clear, open. Falamma, so when, sami'at, she heard, bimakrihinna, of their scheming. Arsalat, she sent, ilayhinna, for them, wa'atadat, and she prepared, lahunna, for them, muttakan, a banquet. Wa'atat, and she gave, kulla, each, wahidatin, one, minhunna, of them, sikkinan. Sikkinan mean a knife. Waqalati, and she said, ukhruj, come out, alayhinna, before them. Falamma, then, when, ra'aynahu, they saw him, akbarnahu, they greatly admired him. Waqatta'na, and cut, aydiyahunna, their hands. Waqulna, and said, hasha, forbid, lillahi, Allah, ma, not, haza, this, basharan, a man. In, not, haza, this, illa, but, malakun, an angel, karimun, noble. Qalat, she said, fazalikunna, that, allazi, the one, lumtunnani, you blamed me, fihi, about him. Walaqad, and certainly, rawattuhu, I sought to seduce him. An, from nafsihi, himself, fasta'asam. Fasta'asam mean, but he saved himself. Wala'in, and if, lam, not, yaf'al, he does, ma, what, amuruhu, I order him. La yusjananna, surely he will be imprisoned. Walayakuna, and certainly will be, min, of, saghirin, those who are disgraced. Qala, he said, Rabbi, my Lord, as-sijnu, the prison, ahabbu, is dearer, ilayya, to me, mimma, than what, yad'unani, they invite me, ilayhi, to it, wa illa, and unless, tasrif, you turn away, anni, from me, kaidahunna, their plot, asbu, I might incline, ilayhinna, towards them, wa akun, and be, min, of, jahilin, the ignorant. Fastajaba, so responded, lahu, to him, Rabbuhu, his Lord. Fasarafa, and turned away, anhu, from him, kaidahunna, their plot. Innahu, indeed he, huwa, he, as-sami'u, all hearer, al-alimu, all knower. Thumma, then, bada, appeared, lahum, to them, mim, after, badi, that, ma, what, ra'aw, they had seen, al-ayati, the signs, liyasjununnahu, surely they should imprison him, hatta, until, heen, a time or a period. So we transition, we finished. Inshallah, we will start our tafsir now. So in the last class, we talked about what the brothers did to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. He was thrown in the well, and they waited the whole day there to see what's going to happen to him until a caravan came. And then there was a guy in the caravan who was a water bearer. He came and then he put a bucket for collecting water inside the well to get the water out. And then Prophet Yusuf, he held to the rope that was in the well, and then that's how he came out. So we are continuing from there now. From ayah number 21 is what happened. This is the next thing. And the man who was the water bearer, he was from Egypt, and then he bought him. He bought. Do you remember last time we talked about that the brothers sold their brother for very few amount of money, coins, like 20 dirhams. So they sold their brother for 20 dirham. So they sold it to this guy. This guy was from Egypt who bought him. He came back to Egypt. He brought this Prophet Yusuf with him. And then he said to his wife in ayah number 21, this guy is from Egypt who bought him. And then he said to his wife, make his stay comfortable. Maybe he will profit us, or we shall adopt him as a son. Thus did we establish Yusuf in the land that we might teach him the interpretation of events. In this point, like when it is talking about the interpretation of the events, so basically what it means is about the dreams, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Prophet Yusuf this knowledge of that he could translate the dreams, he could interpret the dreams. So this was one of the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. And Allah has full power and control over his affairs, but most of men, they do not know. In ayah number 22, and when the Yusuf alayhi salam, attained his full manhood, we gave him wisdom and knowledge. Which one knowledge is this? That is about the prophethood, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him a prophet. Thus we reward the doers of good. Now we see in details of this, we will just see what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. So Yusuf alayhi salam in Egypt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning the favor that he granted Yusuf alayhi salam, by which he made the man from Egypt who bought him take care of him and provide him with a comfortable life. This is not from the will of that person. It's not because of that he wanted to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here that it is us. It means it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who put this in the heart of that person. Allah ta'ala told him, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in his heart, to take care of this child, to provide him a comfortable life. He also ordered his wife. Now, this guy, the one who came from Egypt, he ordered his wife to be kind to Yusuf and had good hope for his future because of his firm, righteous behavior. He said to his wife, make his stay comfortable. Maybe he will profit us, or we shall adopt him as a son. Because when he looked at Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, when he came out of the well, as soon as he saw him, he noticed that like he was so innocent, and he had something on his face, like his appearance, like sometimes when you look at someone that you really you get inspired by them, you impress with them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this thing inside the Yusuf alayhi salam, that when the guy from Egypt looked at him, he decided at that moment that this child is gonna be beneficial for us, either in a way like he would profit us in a way, or we might make him as a son. We adopt him as our son because he had no kids. So he looked at him and he said, oh, we can also adopt him as our son. So the man who bought Yusuf alayhi salam was the minister of Egypt. he was not ordinary person. So he was like a big famous person of Egypt, and his name was Aziz. So after this, he told his wife to take care of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So the next is when he attained. So Prophet Yusuf, when he reached his puberty, he became like he completed his manhood. He was an adult now. His full manhood with sound in mind and perfect in body. So when he reached that time, we gave him wisdom and knowledge. Who is this we? That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, we gave him wisdom and knowledge, which is the prophethood that Allah sent him with for the people he lived among. Thus, we reward the doers of the good. So, after telling this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that we reward those people who do good stuff, who obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always rewarding them with something good. So, same lesson for us. If we do something good in this life, do not even think about it. Oh, I did something good, but nothing good happened to me. You don't know that. If you do something good will come out to you. So you can never say, I was doing good stuff, but look what's happening to me. All the bad stuff is happening to me. Even if you feel like that, the things are bad or not suitable the way you want, they're not happening, going in the direction you want, then there is some wisdom behind it. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you something else, or He wants to give something much, much bigger than that. So always have good thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you should have a firm belief that if I do good, good will come out to me, inshallah. So now, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling this here, that we reward the doers of good, because Yusuf alayhi salam used to do good in the obedience of Allah the Exalted. In ayah number 23 now is talking about the wife of the Aziz, the guy who bought Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So now the wife, in whose house he was, sought to seduce him. Seduce means to do something evil, to do something bad. And she closed the doors and said, Come on, O you. He said, I seek refuge in Allah. Truly He is my Rabb. He made my living in a great comfort. Verily, the wrongdoers will never be successful. So what is going on here? The wife of the Aziz, she loves Yusuf alayhi salam. And then she loved him so much that she is plotting against him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that the wife of the Aziz of Egypt, in whose house Yusuf resided, and whose husband recommended that she takes care of him and be generous to him, tried to seduce Yusuf. She called him to do an evil act with her because she loved him very much. Yusuf alayhi salam was very handsome, filled with manhood and beauty. So she beautified herself for him, closed the door, and called him. And she said, Come on, you. But he categorically refused her call. He said, instead of listening to her, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said, I seek refuge in Allah. Truly He is my Rabb. He made my living in a great comfort. So, as they used to call at that time, they also used to call their master or their chief, Rabb. So Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is now telling that lady that your husband is my master who provided me with comfortable living, and he was kind to me. So I will never betray him by committing immoral sin with his wife. Subhanallah, look at that thing, the way he thinks. Then he said, verily, the wrongdoer will never be successful. This was said. Oh, okay, the word, the word which she said, haytalak in the ayah. Haytalak means, some scholars say that it means that she was calling him to herself. That's what it means. And in ayah number 24, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, and indeed she did desire him, and he would have inclined to her desire had he not seen the evidence of his Lord. Thus it was that we might turn away from him evil and immoral sins. Surely he was one of our mukhlasin servant. So what does mukhlasin servant mean? It means the chosen, purified, designated, appointed, and righteous. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala peace and blessing be on him. May Allah's peace and blessing be on him, on Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Regarding this, there is a hadith, authentic hadith. It's from the Messenger of Allah, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Allah the Exalted said, if my slave intend to perform a good deed, then record it for him as one good deed. If he performs it, then record it for him multiplied tenfold. I want you to write it down. This is very important hadith. If he intends to commit an evil act, but he did not commit it, then record it for him as one good deed. If he left it for my sake, so if somebody leave it for the sake of Allah, then it is recorded as one good deed. But if he commits it, commits what? Commits something bad or sin, then write it as one evil deed. Subhanallah, I hope it's clear for everyone. We'll just go over so everyone understand the hadith. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this, through this hadith, that this is the really big blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us, all of us, this message. That if we think about doing something good, I'm not talking about you did something good. I'm talking about you are intending, you are just thinking about it. You're just thinking inside your brain. You are like, okay, I will do this tomorrow. So you have not done it yet, but you are just thinking about it. As soon as you think, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell his angels, record it as one good deed. So what did you even do? You did not do anything. Like, let's say, for example, you think about tomorrow I'm gonna give, I think I will give some charity. And I have some pocket money collected, so I might give like $10 in charity. You're just thinking about it. You have not spent a penny yet. You said tomorrow I'll give charity. Your angels recorded already as one good deed just by thinking about it. And if you do it tomorrow as you promised or as you said, the next day you do that thing, you give $10 in charity, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering angels that you multiply it by 10. So now you have $10 which you gave in charity. If we multiply by 10, think about the reward you will get. You only give $10, but what you are getting? 100. The reward is 10 times. Now the opposite thing. This was for something good. In the same way, if you think about doing something bad, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like. Or maybe thinking about a sin. If you think about it and you did not do it yet, same way, like we use the other scenario, we use the same scenario. You said, I am gonna hit that child tomorrow. He gave me hard time, and tomorrow I'm gonna punch him. But you did not punch yet, right? You're just thinking about doing it tomorrow, but you did not commit it. And if you leave it, you are like, next morning you wake up and you are like, I was thinking about it. Yesterday I was mad, I was angry. I don't think I should do it, even though I have a desire to do it. I want to do it, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think I will leave it for the sake of Allah. I'm not going to do it. I will just forgive that child. I'm not doing it. If you leave it for the sake of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to angels, write it as good deed. One good deed you get. But like, let's say you do not come to this point. You said, no, there is no way I'm going to forgive that child. I have to take revenge. And you commit it. You commit that sin. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you write it as one bad deed in comparison to what we learned from doing good deeds. And if you go ahead and do it, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you multiply it by tenfold. But for the bad things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not multiplying it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying 1 to 1, one sin equal to one bad deed. But for the good things, the things you do good, it is 1 to 10. Subhanallah, this is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want all of us to go to Jannah. Look at this, He made it so easy. If we still cannot go to Jannah, we cannot make it to Jannah, what else we can say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us everywhere, giving us chances to go, to get to Jannah, to get close to it. But if we still do not get it, it's our fault. So subhanallah, there's so much to learn from this hadith. It was important, that's why I wanted to mention this hadith here. Now we come to the ayah number 25. Ayah number 25 is, it's so one day she plotted against him because she loved him so much, the Yusuf alayhi salam, that she just beautified herself, and then she called him in a room, and then she closed the door. And after closing the door, she called him to do bad thing to her, and then he refused. We learned that just now. And he said, I fear Allah. I seek refuge from Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from this. After that, what happened is that the lady, both of them, so they raced with one another to the door because she locked the door. So now they both ran towards the door, and because Yusuf alayhi salam, as soon as he said this, he was running towards the door so he could open it and then go outside. So she followed him, and she grabbed his shirt. When she grabbed it so hard that it got torn. As soon as they opened the door, now what? What you guys think? What is there? They opened the door, and there they both found her husband standing there at the door. As soon as she saw her husband, she said, she tried to make up something because she was like a very smart lady. And then all of a sudden she was like, what is the recompense, mean punishment? What is the punishment for him who intended to do an evil against your wife, except that he put in prison or painful torment? So what she is trying to, before Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam would be able to say anything. She just started saying that, oh, what would you do to the person who intended to do something bad to your wife? And then she is giving suggestion that it would be only that you imprison him and give him very bad punishment. So the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said in ayah number 26, he said, it was she that sought to seduce me, and a witness of her household bore witness, saying, if it be that his shirt is torn from the front, then her tale is true and he is the liar. So inshallah we will continue the translation till number 29, and then we will go to discuss the details about it. So I will just go and do the word to word translation, like by sentence. So ayah number 27 is, but if it be that his shirt is torn from the back, then she has told a lie and he is speaking the truth. So ayah number 28, so when he is who? Her husband. Saw Prophet Yusuf's shirt torn at the back. He said, surely it is a plot of you women. Certainly mighty is your plot. Ayah number 29. O Yusuf, turn away from this, O woman. Ask forgiveness for your sin. Verily, you were of sinful. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in these ayah, that Yusuf alayhi salam and the wife of Aziz raced to the door, Yusuf running away from her and her running after him to bring him back to the room. She caught up with him and held on to his shirt from the back, tearing it so terribly that it fell off Yusuf's back. So Yusuf continued running from her, with her in pursuit. However, they found her master, her husband, at the front door. This is when she responded by deceit and evil plot and twisted the whole thing. So then he might think that she is the one victim. So she was playing a victim card here. Now you see that we're talking about the shirt. This is second time in the story that we are talking about shirt. Do you remember when was the first time we talked about the shirt? It was when the brothers they threw Yusuf alayhi salam in the well. So they got his shirt and stained it with the fake blood. So this is the second time in this surah that we are talking about the shirt. So now what her plot was, the way she just twisted, and she was like, because she didn't want him to think that it was me who initiated. She wanted him to think that it was Yusuf alayhi salam. He is the one who wanted to do something bad to me. I was just a victim. So then she asked her husband, what is the punishment for him who intended an evil design against your wife? Except that he should be put in the prison or give him a painful torment. So Yusuf alayhi salam, he did not stay there quietly, just listening to everything. What he said instead, he was not like standing idle, but he declared the truth, and he said that she is accusing me. This is not true what she's saying. So Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said in truth and honesty that it was she that sought to seduce me, and mentioned that she pursued him and pulled him towards her until she tore his shirt. After listening to this, there was one witness in their household. So what the witness said, that he was like kind of giving the advice. He was like saying, if it be that the shirt is torn from the front, not from the back, then her tale is true. So if the shirt is torn from the front, then it means that she is telling the truth, that it was Prophet Yusuf who tried to initiate this thing. But in the next part, they say, if the shirt is torn from the back, then she has told a lie. And he is the one speaking the truth. So when they check or inspected the shirt, what they found that the shirt was torn from behind, not from the front. So Yusuf alayhi salam ran away from her, and this is what truly happened. And she said in his pursuit, she would have held to his shirt from the back to bring him back to her, thus tearing his shirt from the back. That's why they found that Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was innocent. It was not his fault. It was the one who initiated was the Aziz wife. So now even the husband, he know that for sure that it was not him, it was my wife actually who did that. And then he understood, and then what he said, surely it's a plot of you women. That you women, they do like this, they do stuff like this, they lie aloud. So this is your plot that you have done. So Aziz ordered Yusuf, peace be upon him, to be discreet about what happened. O Yusuf. Then he told him, Yusuf, turn away from this. So what does it mean? Yusuf, do not mention this to anyone. What has happened? Because I told you in the beginning that Aziz was not an ordinary person. He was the minister of Egypt. Everybody knew him, and he was afraid that this, if this news go out, everyone is going to talk about it, and it will be like people will say bad words about him, that oh, look at this, his wife is doing what. So he didn't want this thing to leave the house. He wanted him to just stop here and do not mention it to anyone what happened. And then he was addressing his wife. Aziz was basically an easy man, and he gave excuse to his wife because she saw in Yusuf an appeal she couldn't resist. He said to her, ask forgiveness for your sin, the evil desire that you wanted to satisfy with this young man. When what you were thinking about him, you have to ask forgiveness for this. So in ayah number 30, and women in the city. Now this matter came outside their house. Of course, you cannot keep stuff inside. It started getting rumors outside, it just came, and everybody found out what happened. So all the women in the city, they said, oh, oh, have you heard that? The wife of the Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave young man. Indeed, she loves him violently. Verily, we see her in plain error. So, ayah number 31 talks about, so when she heard of their accusation, who heard? Aziz's wife. When she heard about this, the women of the city are talking this about me. So she sent for them and prepared a banquet for them. She plotted something. Now she is like, okay, I'm going to show it to them. I will invite them for lunch or dinner. And then she invited all of them. She gave each one of them a knife, and she said to Yusuf, come out before them. Then when they saw him, they exalted him at his beauty, and in their astonishment, they cut their hands. They said, how perfect is Allah! No man is this. This is none other than a noble angel. In ayah number 32, she said, this is he, the young man about whom you did blame me. And I did seek to seduce him. Now she is admitting it. She said, yeah, I did that. I did seek to seduce him, but he refused. And now, if he refuses to obey me, he shall certainly be cast into prison and will be one of those who are disgraced. In ayah number 33, he said, O my Lord, This is who is saying, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, he is actually making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, "Oh my Allah, prison is dearer to me than that to which they invite me." It means to these ladies, or this lady, the Aziz wife, she's inviting me. She is still there. She still desire him. So she said, if he's not going to listen to me, I'm going to send him in the prison. So now he is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I would rather go to prison than listening to this lady. Unless you turn away their plot from me, I will feel inclined towards them and be one of the ignorant. So what he is saying that, there's always shaitan with us. We always have, because everybody, we are all human. So if you are not going to help me, I might fall into this trap. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you help me. I cannot get out of this without your help. So in ayah number 34, so his Lord answered his invocation, answered his prayer, his dua, and turned away from him their plot. Verily, Allah is the one who is all hearer, all knower. Allah is the one who listens to everything. He is the one who knows everything. These are two very good, important qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we need to know. Allah is all hearer and Allah is all knower. So let's see in the details now. The news reaches women in the city. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that people, the women, they found out what happened at the Aziz house, and it just spread the whole city. And now the people of the Egypt are talking about it. And women in the city, they said, oh, such as women of chief. Who women? They are all like women of like chiefs and princes. So they were the women of those, not ordinary women. So they were talking about this Aziz's wife. That look, have you heard that? What she is trying to do? She is trying to seduce her slave, young slave. And she is like have bad intention for him. So indeed she loves him so violently. And then they said, if she is doing this, then she is actually in plain error. Like she is making a big mistake if this is what she is trying to do. So when the Aziz wife, she heard of their accusation, she sent for them invitation to their house and prepared a banquet for them. She prepared a sitting room which had couches, pillows to recline on, and food that requires knives to cut, such as citron. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said next, and she gave each one of them a knife as a part of her plan of revenge for their plot to see Yusuf. And she said to Yusuf alayhi salam, come out before them. So before he was like he was someplace else in the house. So as soon as they holded that the citron in their hand, they had knives ready to cut. So she asked Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam to come out. So as soon as he came out, they saw him, they exalted him, and they thought highly of him and were astonished, were really surprised by what they saw. They started cutting their hand in amazement at his beauty, while thinking that they were cutting their citron with their knife. So actually, they were cutting their hands, and they couldn't even tell that they were cutting hands or cutting a citron, because they were like so much into it. They just got into his beauty that they forgot everything, that they injured their hand. And then they said, after looking at him, how perfect is Allah! No man is this. This is none other than a noble angel. They said, we have never seen anybody like this, so handsome. It's only a noble angel. And then after looking at him, they said, We do not blame you anymore after the sight that we saw. They never saw anyone like Yusuf before, for he, peace be upon him, was given half of the beauty. So there is one authentic hadith regarding this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned, he said that he passed by Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam during the night of Isra in the third heaven. You have to write this down. The incidents of Isra and Miraj. You all know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him made possible this journey to him, that he went from Makkah, he went to Jerusalem in one night. Not the whole complete night. It was just a portion of the night. He went to Jerusalem, and from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him up in the skies, and then he went to different levels of the skies. So in the third sky, when he was in the third heaven, he met Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. And then he commented. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he was given a half of all beauty. Half of all beauty means whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like let's say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down 1% of beauty on earth. Out of that 1%, half of it was given to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, and half of it was divided among everyone on the earth. Everyone from Prophet Adam alayhi salam to the day of judgment. Whoever is born is part of that half beauty. But Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was given, he alone got one half. So you can imagine that he would be somebody we have never ever seen in our whole life. So this is what Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, that, and no man is this. This is none other than a noble angel. Then she said, who is this she? That's the wife of Aziz. She said, this is he about whom you did blame me. Now you see yourself, and you were blaming me for this. Now why did you even cut your hands now if you don't trust me? It was not me, that I am at fault. So what she was trying to prove, that he is so handsome that nobody can resist him. So that is the reason I got into this thing, because of his beauty. I couldn't resist. If he is not as handsome, then why did you cut your hands? That is the proof that you couldn't control yourself either. So then she said, now her confession. She said, I did seek to seduce him, but he refused. And then she threatened him. She said, now, if you refuse to obey my order, then you will certainly be cast into prison and will be one of those who are disgraced. This is the time when Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he sought refuge with Allah from their evil and wicked plots. Now Allah, he is making, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is saying, oh my Lord, prison is dearer to me than that to which they invite me. Unless you turn away their plot from me, I will feel inclined towards them. So Yusuf alayhi salam invoked Allah. He said, if you abandon me and I am reliant on myself, then I have no power over myself, nor can I bring harm or benefit to myself except with your power and will. Verily, you are sought for each and everything, and our total reliance is on you alone for each and everything. Please do not abandon me and leave me to rely on myself for them. Subhanallah, look at this. What a beautiful thing he is saying. We should also learn lesson from this one, what the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, that we should put our trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this thing is possible only if you will. It is only because of you. I am weak. I cannot do it. I cannot go through this. Whatever I am facing right now, if I'm going through a test or a trial, something bad is happening to me, or something bad is gonna happen to me, you are in a situation where you might get in trouble, then you have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the only one who can prevent me from this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am not strong enough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am weak. Do not abandon me. Help me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help me go through with this thing. Help me to take this thing away from me. So you have to make this dua, and our belief should be like this strong. And then he said he refused. He would be like, he refused all this. He said, okay, I am not gonna do what she's asking, and I would prefer prison. For I fear Allah, and I hope to earn His reward. That is the thing. And from this one, we will come to our favorite hadith, my favorite hadith at least. And I know you guys know it so well too. I feel so proud of you that all of you, I know you know it really well. So we're coming to which hadith? I want you to guess it. This is a hadith where we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give shade to 7 people. Still remember that hadith? On the day of judgment, when there will be no shade but His. So we will go over this once again. So you in case if any of you forgot, so we will go over 7 of those people, so we remember all of them, because it is important hadith. Number 1 is a just ruler. Number 2, a youth or a young person who has been brought up in the worshipping of Allah. So it's mean like a young person who spent his life, the youth, the period of youth, by obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, a man whose heart is attached to the masjid from the time he goes out of the masjid until he gets back to it. So if you love masjid that much, you will be one of those on the day of judgment who will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then number 4 is 2 people who love each other only for sake of Allah, and they meet and they part in Allah's cause only. It's not man and woman. It's not that. We cannot do that. So we are talking about like 2 people. It could be like 2 best friends. It could be 2 brothers. It could be any of your like 2 cousins. It could be like that. Or somebody like from masjid, you like somebody so much that you, every time you meet him, you want to meet him because of the sake of Allah. So when you meet each other, you are like, I love you for the sake of Allah. And then when you part with this thinking in your heart that, yeah, I meet him for the sake of Allah, and I leave for the sake of Allah. Number 5 is a man who gives charity so secretly that his left hand does not even know what his right hand has given. So what does that mean? I hope it's clear to everyone that when you give charity, of course, your hands are together, right? It's part of one body. How is this possible? One hand is giving charity, the other hand does not know. So this is just symbolically. So what does it mean is you give charity so secretly that no one would know about it other than yourself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't want anybody else to know. If you are one of those people who do this, inshallah, you will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that day when there is no shade. So number 6, a man who refuses the call of a charming woman of noble birth for something bad, evil action. So if she is like asking a man to do something bad with her, and he refuses that, and he says, I'm afraid of Allah, then he will one of those people who will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last, number 7, a person who remembers Allah in seclusion and his eyes are then flooded with tears. So if you sometime, we should do that. It's a really good idea. When we are alone, it's just you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you just get there, make wudu on the janmas, your praying rug, just sit there, and then you start talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You in the love of Allah or in the fear of Allah, whatever the case. You can do either one. Maybe you get scared that when I will die, where am I going to end up? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from the hellfire. While thinking about it, and you're just like, what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish me for all the things? And then you started crying. Or maybe in the love of Allah, that you are like, subhanallah, my Allah is great. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so much. Allah's blessings are everywhere. And then you, because of those happiness and the blessings, thinking about all the blessing, it just make your eyes cry. You started getting tears in your eyes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love those tears. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala collected every single tear coming out of your eye. He is going to collect it. On the day of judgment, those tears will bring to you, they will be brought to you, and you will see the reward. It will be like big pile, big mountain of rewards, that you won't even believe that wow, the one tear I shed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me this. And imagine if you spend your life that like this, crying about it, crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because of you are doing something like you're going through some bad stuff, like trials, but if you're just doing it in love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you're crying, Allah loves those tears, and those tears are the one that you can't even imagine the reward. So inshallah, this is the hadith. I wanted to go over it because it was the exactly matching with the situation. So now what happened to Yusuf alayhi salam? Our last ayah number 35. Then it occurred to them, after they had seen the proof of his innocence, to imprison him for a time. What the people have decided, like Aziz, he decided that, even though I know he's innocent, he has done anything, he hasn't done anything, it's proven innocent, because they all already saw the proof in the form of shirt. So it was proven, but still he decided to put him in the prison. What was the reason? Okay, we will see the reason. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then it occurred to them that it would be in their interest to imprison Yusuf for a time, even after they were convinced of his innocence and saw the proofs of his truth, honesty, and chastity. It appears, and Allah knows the best, that they imprisoned him after the news of what happened spread. Because in the beginning, you remember that he told Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam that please do not mention this to anyone. Now, since the news got out, and it spread in a city like a fire, everybody knew about it now. So it was like he had no choice other than to put Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison. So why? Because they wanted to pretend that Yusuf alayhi salam was the one who tried to seduce the Aziz's wife. Because Aziz, I told you, he was a big person. He was famous. Everybody knew about him. So he was like more into his like honor and respect. He said, people know me, and what would people think about me if they hear my wife is doing this? And he was like, no, I can't afford that. My whole honor will be gone. So because of that, he put Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison. So people might think that, oh, because he is the one who initiated, that's why he is in the prison. So this is the reason behind it, why they put him in the prison. So this is why when the Pharaoh asked Yusuf to leave jail a long time afterward, we will talk about this in the coming ayah, but then we just have to just do small summary like this, that's why when he spent so many years in the jail, in the prison. Then the time came when the Pharaoh, or the king of that time, he asked him to leave the jail. He refused to leave. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he refused to leave the jail. He said, I will not leave until his innocence was ascertained and that the allegation of his betrayal was refuted. So when this was successfully achieved, Yusuf left the prison with his honor intact. Peace be upon him. And he spent so many years in the jail while he was innocent. You know that he did not commit anything. He was innocent, but he was put in the jail. So we finish our today's lesson here. Inshallah, we will continue with this beautiful story in our next class. And I want you to wait till then because there is a lot more to come. And you will be amazed by how beautiful this surah is. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم